So let me talk to you about the difference between silicone and saline. Okay, so this is saline. Saline is simply water in a bag, and this is silicone gel. So differences, let's talk about differences. Number one, most patients tend to feel and think that this feels more like breast tissue, so this one has a more natural feel. Difference number two is rippling. So rippling has a potential, you have a higher risk of rippling with saline. Rippling simply means that you can see the edges of the implant. The reasons that it's a higher chance of rippling is simply because saline is thinner. The material is thinner than the gel, so there's a higher chance of seeing the folds. Difference number three is rupture. So what happens if they rupture?
Yes.
If this ruptures, all the water comes out, your breast will go deflate. You'll look down, you'll know right away. It's obvious, right? You're like, oops, something's wrong.
Right.
If the silicone ruptures, and most commonly it's what's called a silent rupture. Silent simply means that it's not visible or detectable by the eye, so you can't tell. So a lot of times women say, well, how do you find out, doc? How would you know? And it's very simple. It's typically through imaging. So the FDA has recommendations and formal guidelines, and their formal guidelines is to do a MRI, which is like a fancy imaging test, at 3 years after augmentation and every 2 years after.
Okay.
So that's how you would be able to detect it. It has to be imaging.
Okay.
Either way, if this ruptures or if this ruptures, the treatment is the same. You need to remove and replace the implant, 1. 2, either way, if this ruptures or if this ruptures, they both have lifetime warranties from the manufacturer, which is Allergan. And number 3, whether this ruptures or this ruptures, there is no difference in the safety profile, meaning whether, it doesn't matter if saline were to rupture or silicone, you're not going to get sick, it's not going to cause a health risk, it's not going to cause a problem, they simply need to be removed and replaced.
Okay.
Good question. Perfect.